Hi, it's Tuesday, the 27th of May. It's been a boring, rainy day today on the ward. Just come out of my psychology session and had some tea. Got a call from a withheld number at about 2:30. Said it was the AWP PALS team who I had, in fairness, tried to contact and left a voicemail this morning regarding a complaint that I'd put in. Sort of related to the subject matter of this video. I wake up in the middle of the night, almost every night, once or twice last night, and a nurse gave me some meds, which they don't always do, but they gave me some PRN, it's called, lorazepam, so that I could stop being agitated, fearful, stressed, worried, and anxious, and maybe get some sleep. Woke up again about 5 a.m. and asked to see his photo ID card. So he had it sort of tucked into his vest, and he flatly refused. And it was really suspicious. He became really guarded, really sort of like confrontational and diversionary, and almost with kind of good humour just said, no, I'm not telling you what my name is. There seems to be this sort of pattern emerging. The first person who did it was a nurse, and I made an official complaint, and I kind of brushed it under the carpet. I ended up having this negotiation with the manager where I was just like, look, I don't think, that I saw a nurse's ID badge, and initially she refused me meds in the middle of the night, then refused to show her ID. So I said I wanted to make a complaint. I said, I want your full name so I can make a complaint. She said, well, you're not having it. And I said, well, you can't remain anonymous. You're an RMN. You're a registered mental health nurse. And I got this badge just to demonstrate that anybody could get a fucking lanyard off the internet, and pretend to be anybody they want in a hospital that was completely bent. Not that this one is, but so she showed me this badge and she defaced it so you couldn't see her second name. But she said it was because she didn't want to get stalked on social media. But if you don't want to get stalked and you don't want people to know your name, you don't have to work in medicine. If you do want to work in medicine, that does involve providing your corroborating legal title to the patients for whom you're responsible. And if I need an ambulance, then they're the person that's going to make the call. If I need resuscitating, they're the person that's going to make the call. If I need medicine, they're the person that makes sure they don't give me a lethal amount of medicine. If I get assaulted, then they're the person that's going to give a statement to the prosecution, the key witness, to the police, whether or not it was provoked. I could go on. There's loads of reasons why people wear photo identification badges. Transparency and accountability in patient relations are among the reasons for it. First of all, an RMN did it, right? And I kind of just let it go. I made a video about it, and I did make an official complaint about it, and I kind of just let it go. So I just thought, well, what's the point in sort of harming this person's career with the NMC and CQC for putting a little sticker over their ID badge, who's normally, she's quite a nice lady. I get along with her. I quite like her on a personal level, sort of. Then a doctor did it. I had a really bad toothache, really bad, and I asked for some codeines. They got the on-call doctor, I think it was a weekend, came in, and he didn't have his badge to start with. I said, could you show me your ID badge? So he said, yeah, of course. And he went and got it from the other room, and then he came back into the room. So there you go, cool. So I got my phone out, started going through my phone. He said, what are you doing? I'm just going on the GMC website to put your name in. I said, no, you can't do that. It's like covering up his ID. And I stuck it under his armpit and was like, no. I was like, why not, mate? I mean, it's just like you're a general medical council registered doctor giving me, codeine. I just want to check that you're licensed with the register to practice. Is that all right, mate? I said, no, it's not. And I put it into Google, started showing him on Google, like, look, have I got a right to check if my GMC doctor is qualified? And then he said that I was intimidating him because I was stood like within 3 feet of him, showing him my phone. And then I said, look, I'm not trying to be intimidating and threatening. And as soon as I mentioned those words, he capitulated on it and capitalised on it and was like, no, I think you are, actually, you are. And he left the room, and it was like, the doctor came in, a speciality doctor came in about a few days later after I put it on YouTube and wrote down the name of this doctor, his full name, on a piece of paper for me with a biro and kind of apologised and said that obviously I've got a right to ask for a GMC number. He wouldn't give me his GMC number or his GMC registration. The other day, they've had search forms for Section 17 leave, and somebody else did the same thing. There's a section that says name of person conducting the search on the search form. Looks like that. Name of person conducting the search, just there. He just wrote his first name, handwritten first name. And I said, mate, that's not really acceptable. If you're going to complete a search form, it says you've got to put the full name down. I've got another complaint there, which I keep in my pocket with my passport. So every time I go on leave, I give them my passport so they can't, I've got an excuse to spell my name wrong, so they kept on spelling my name wrong every time, accidentally on purpose. I've got this other letter from a complaint, which says that they've instructed the person who wrote an completely illegible name on a letter that I brought up with management and at my ward round with the doctors, and the multidisciplinary team. I said, look, this is unacceptable. He's just scrawling, and you can't. I posted it on Instagram. You couldn't make it out for 100 million quid. You couldn't have said what his surname was. It was just completely illegible. Not that I'm sort of preying on dyslexic people or somebody with poor levels of literacy. He has perfectly good level of literacy, and now, as that complaint dictates, he writes his name in block capitals, which are clearly legible. But he was just completely dismissive and defensive, disrespectful, tactless, kind of supine, and ushered me along and made it out like I was the one with the problem, like I was the one who had, this was my issue, and if I didn't like it, I could go and suck a fat one, So this guy did that the other day, and I tried to look at his badge. I was like, you're wearing an ID badge, bro. Just tell me what it says on your ID badge. I mean, what's your problem? You're working in a hospital, you're completing medical documents. It's a contractual document we both have to sign. It's a legal document to say that you've searched me, you've put your hands on my body, and you haven't groped me. And why do you want to remain anonymous? What's the gig? And he just took his ID badge off and just hasn't worn it. And he's been on shift 3 times since then, and he hasn't worn his ID any other time. And I've just left it. Again, quite an affable, personable guy. I mean, I'm polite and friendly to people on the ward, mostly. I don't normally lose my temper. I sometimes, can be a bit of a prick when I get agitated. But the 4th person did it last night. It's 4 people now in a row who have refused to show me their photo identification. And this guy was an RMN. That means you've done a degree, you're qualified as a registered mental health nurse, and he wouldn't provide me his details. And I sort of said to the other RMN who got on shift in the morning, do you think that's acceptable? He was sort of umming and ahhing and tried to be well, if it was a police interrogation, then he wouldn't have to give you details. If it was, if it was on the street, I was just some pathetic excuse. It was just and it's my social worker didn't want to give me a contact number or her email address, and my care coordinator wants to remain anonymous too. And it just seems to be there's a pattern emerging where, they won't show me my medical legal scrutiny checklist. Just Google what that is. It's a tool for making sure that your section papers are done legit. They won't show me that. They won't give me a copy of that on paper. They said I can see it on a computer screen. Spoke to loads of solicitors. I eventually got a solicitor that said, yeah, that's fucking dodgy. I'll come and have a look at your section papers, but only with the caveat that if I do find that you're unlawfully detained, I'm not going to do anything about it. You can look on Reed's mental health solicitors page. They've got solicitors that specify an unlawful detention. I've tried to email them, I've tried to phone them, I've contacted about 15 or 20 different solicitors, journalists, CQC, National Nursing and the NMC, Nursing and Midwifery Council. The next step is to go to the Ombudsman, the Parliamentary and Health Services Ombudsman, and maybe make another, my 7th complaint to Cygnus since I've been here. which some of which they've upheld. I think one of which they upheld. They just cancelled my dental appointment and left me in dental pain, even though I showed them I had an appointment twice. They just wouldn't let me go. They just they just showed them the message on my phone and put it in the calendar. My dental appointment came around and there was just no taxi for me. But yeah, there's just this pattern: social worker, care coordinator, 4 different members of staff who just want to remain anonymous. They don't want me to know what their legal title is. They've got all my medical information. They're responsible for my safety, looking after me in an environment where I'm confined. And it really starting to it's really starting to look like a pattern of like something very fucking dodgy about this whole thing, And I grokked it this morning, and it was like, it's not a police issue. They said, if someone was wearing a balaclava, I said in my tweet, with a syringe in their hand, and I don't want to assume gender stereotypes or start playing the feminism card, but if I'd been a vulnerable woman and a man had been stood at my door with a balaclava on, or a burqa and a syringe in their hand as an RMN, which is, RMNs do inject me every month, and they wouldn't tell me their name, they won't tell me your surname, do you know what I mean? It's like, people would be saying that's a bit off, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like what? And these people can forcibly inject you, forcibly medicate you. Here's what Gemini says anyway. I asked, do I have the right as a patient detained under Section 3 of the Mental Health Act to check if a registered mental health nurse treating me is registered and qualified to practice by searching the Nursing and Midwifery Council database by using the information displayed on their photo ID card? Unsurprisingly, the answer was yes. As a patient detained under Section 3 of the Mental Health Act, you absolutely have the right to check if a registered mental health nurse, RMN, treating you is registered and qualified to practice. Here's how you can do it: using the Nursing and Midwifery Council database and the information on their photo card ID. Ask the nurse for their PIN. A couple of nurses have actually given me their name but refused to give me their PIN. In fact, I think I've checked about 4 nurses, another 4 in fairness to Signet, who have eventually given me their name after they all initially said no. They've said, okay then, I'll give you my name, but I'm not giving you my NMC PIN. A nurse, midwife or a nursing association should tell you their personal identification number when asked, especially if you're using their services. PIN is a unique registration code. Access the NMC register, search the register, blah, blah, blah. The information you'll see, expiry date of registration, blah, blah, blah. It's important for patient safety. And your rights, and if you've got any concerns, you can speak to senior member of staff, which I have done. But yeah, I mean, to read the whole thing to you, it's just kind of bloody obvious, isn't it, really? Of course they should do, and they just all want to remain anonymous. And it's like, the old maxim of like, if you've got nothing to fear, you've got nothing to hide. And I don't know what I do know probably, it's that I'm probably, there's something not squeaky clean on my paperwork, which is why they're saying you can have a look on a screen at your medical legal scrutiny checklist, which confirms that your section papers have been created without error and everything's above board, but you can't have a copy of it. I've had loads of problems with Section 17 Leave P paperwork, and like people writing my name as Bodie McLeod on my Section 132 rights form, which is another separate bit of legal paperwork for section patients. Just Google it, Section 132 rights. You have to sign it every 2 weeks. Spelt the name wrong. Where it says hospital number, they wrote down the phone number of the hospital, not like my kind of code for the clerical administrative database. And I got this call, today from a withheld number about 2:30ish, and I was like, have you got it said it was AWP PALS team. I said, have you got a return number I can phone you back on? She was like, actually no, there's a glitch in our phone system. Do you remember like in the noughties, right, when phones first came out and people used to try and bullshit you, and you'd be like, I sent you a text, mate, about that 50 quid, and they're like, oh, do you know what, like my phone's been being a bit weird recently, like my texts just aren't going through. And like maybe even someone else would be like, yeah, no, my texts, are you on Vodafone? Yeah, my texts haven't been going through as well. People said there's a glitch on their system and the phones don't work. It's like, I reckon that was probably meant to be the old Bill phoning me up on a private number. They wanted to appear on my call log, and they were going to say it was something completely different because I can't record phone calls anymore So the nature and the content and the purport of any conversation I had can always be claimed to be somebody conducting a welfare check or whoever. I've had a few calls from private numbers from an ex-service user, which I thought was a bit dodgy. Didn't really understand why he was calling me from private numbers, but I made a video about that too. I made a video about the doctor, the GMC doctor. I made a video about the first nurse who didn't show me her ID. But there's 4 members of staff now who've done exactly the same thing. It's like, if you're going to wear a fucking lanyard around your neck with your name on it, you start covering it up. You're not doing your fucking job properly. If that happens once, it's out of order. Twice is like, especially for a GMC registered doctor, really out of order. 3 times is like, all right, I'm kind of having a conspiratorial mindset now. 4 times is like, right, this is a pattern. There's something going on here which isn't right. I got an email back from somewhere, I don't know, saying that the phone call was genuine this afternoon, and they'll phone me back tomorrow when their computers, when their phone systems are working. I tried to put it on Twitter and it didn't work. I've still got the notification. Yeah, look, there you go. Failed to send post, 2:48 p.m. I just got a call from a withheld number claiming to be from your patient advice team. Said they were having a glitch on your system. It did work eventually, but yeah, I just, even when I tried to post it on Twitter, it didn't quite work. And yeah, there's the email. Here's the tweet that I sent. Just got a call from a withheld number claiming to be your patient advice service. When I asked if I could get a number to call back on to make sure the call was genuine, I was told you're having a nationwide glitch with your phone system. I don't know, has anyone else had any problems? Leave a comment in the description. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. You know, suck me off and give me all your money, and yeah, just generally, you know, fillet my fucking ego and encourage me to make more of these videos, because I've got fuck all else to do with my life. And yeah, I'm not going to the rehab that they had. The nurse manager came and spoke to me today and said, I've got some bad news for you, Brody. The assessment that you have said no, they can't handle you at the placement in Bristol, so I'm probably going to have to go to another horrible little place that I went in 2023 on site here. It's up the road from the main site, which I'm not looking forward to because it's really boring. It's just like a tiny little house, about 6 bedrooms, and no patients, and a shitty pool table, a little lounge. It's like crap with a TV the size of a postage stamp, and a bunch of happy clappy staff. Like, I mean, they're nice enough, the Signet staff. I get on with some of them, do you know what I mean? They're not all bad people. They all want to keep the names a fucking secret though, do you know what I mean? So whatever that's about, I don't know. You can see my photo ID and my name. They see all my medical records, responsible for my safety. You can't even see that in focus. You can see it's, yeah. Anyway, 4 people now hiding their ID from me. What's going on? Who knows? Maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe I'm looking into things a bit too deeply. Had a big psychology session for like 2 hours from 3 till 5. And if there's anyone who's ever needed to speak to a psychologist, it's me. But yeah, touched on quite a lot of suppressed and repressed emotions, and a lot to do with kind of empathy and sympathy and compassion, regret, remorse, and, you know, tact, sincerity, authenticity, and solutions. I don't know. Need to be a bit more constructive, a bit less destructive. And yeah, gutted that I haven't got a place to go to in Bristol, because I'd much rather be in Bristol where I can see my brother Connor regularly. That would have been nice. But hey ho, that's the way the cookie crumbles, eh? Hopefully I'll live long and prosper. But if you do work for a mental hospital, show the patients your IDs, otherwise they just get really fucked off, and they don't trust you. They think you're all crooks, which is especially not what you want if you are. Battery power's low, better wind this up. Cheers, lots of love.